How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Many Interpretations of, where this time we are taking a look at another Cenozoic creature, that being Otodus Megalodon, or as it's more commonly known, just Megalodon. We most commonly know it by its species name. This is the largest shark to ever live, and there's not a lot of depictions of it, and the ones that are present have a common theme. You know, we'll get into that once we get into the video. And hey, look at that! What a coincidence! We're getting into the video right now. Alright, we'll start off with Paleo World. Now, this depicts it as, it's basically just an image right here to kind of show off the scale and whatnot, and they depict it as a giant gray white shark. Now, that is going to be what we most commonly see throughout this list, and because of that, I don't have too much dialogue to place onto each depiction of this animal. Really, the most I can say is scaled up great white shark. That's the bulk of it. Now, to be absolutely fair, Megalodon is known from very fragmentary remains, so we don't know a lot about its overall appearance. We don't even really know a lot about its overall size. We don't know what kind of shark it most closely resembled. I will say that for the longest time, it was thought to be a close relative of the great white shark, and that's because it was thought to be a part of the Lambdidae family. It has since been reclassified as being a member of the Odontidae family, which separates it from great white sharks. So I will say that it's unlikely it looked like a great white shark, but again, it's really hard to say in that department. All we truly know is that it was a huge shark. But most depictions are going to take the safe route and give us a giant great white shark. Like the second one, prehistoric sharks. Again, it does seem to just be a scaled up great white shark. It has everything like the counter shading. I will say that the nose, like the nose part of the shark, doesn't necessarily look too much like a great white's. I think a great white's is a little bit more pointy. I'm sure that there's a little bit of individual variation that goes into that, but you know, right here you have it like that. I will also add on to this, because Megalodon was so large, it seemed like it was a shark that could possibly reach up to 60 feet in length, maybe even longer based on a current study. There is some debate on how big it could truly get, but maybe, possibly, potentially up to 60 feet. But even at that, it was still huge, and because of that, the proportions probably wouldn't be the same as a great white shark anyway. So you would probably see different traits on the animal compared to what you would see on a great white shark. Once again, that's just another great white shark depiction. But the next up we have from Sea Monsters. This one looks better. Like, the face looks a little bit more stubby, and I think that the tail's a little bit different. It still does have a lot of the key attributes that we associate with great white shark. Like the counter shading, of course, but counter shading is pretty present in animals like this. I say counter shading a lot, and I might as well give a little bit of a crash course on what it is. Counter shading is a really good form of camouflage, especially for sharks, because you notice that they have like the white belly right there and a darker top part of their body. That's perfect because when you look down at them, like when you're up above and you look down, they blend in very well to the darkness of the blue sea. And when you look up, when you're looking up at them when they're above you, as the sunlight reflects through the water, it kind of like drowns them out essentially. Like, it's harder to see them because of their white bellies. So did Megalodon probably have something like that? Yeah, probably. You know, it was a giant predatory shark, so most likely. But so far I like that one. I think the proportions are a little bit different, which is something I do appreciate. So far that one's pretty decent. And then we have Shark Attack 3, Megalodon. It's just a great white shark, and I mean literally this time. Like, it's actual footage of a great white shark that they used movie magic to place into this and make it look bigger. So not much else I can say about that. In prehistoric predators, we have a giant great white shark, complete with the kind of gray coloration on the top and the white underbelly, you know, counter shading, all that good stuff. Even the nose is a little bit more pointed. If I'm wrong about that nose thing, be sure to let me know. I am not the most knowledgeable in sharks. Monster Quest, I wasn't expecting to see it on here, but I guess it makes sense for the History Channel. We have a giant great white shark. Great. CGI, you know, this giant CGI great white shark. And then in Jurassic Fight Club, I like this one. I like this one because it's a little, like, the colors are a little bit more dark. They're almost black in color, and I think that that's a bit different, and I like that. It helps it stand out from the rest of the list. Here's a little bit of a break from the great white sharks to show you this Megalodon tooth I have. What's crazy about this right here is, you see how big that is, like, especially compared to my hand. What's crazy about this is that this isn't even as big as they can get. This is a pretty small one. Like, relatively speaking, they would get to be pretty massive in size. So Megalodon was just a big, big shark. Now let's move on to mermaids. Mermaids, the body found, they show a Megalodon kind of being a predatory animal towards the mermaids. This documentary has a ton of problems, mostly with the mermaid part, but the Megalodon, we don't see it too much from what I remember, and it seems like the proportions are a little bit more different than a great whites, and the colors are certainly darker, I think. It is shown as a really rounded, like thick creature, and this is a recent development, but what is being proposed right now is that Megalodon was far more thin and long than we previously thought. I don't know if this is fully accepted yet, but it's like a recent, like it happened earlier this year. It was a pretty recent paper. Figured I might as well throw that part in because we're not really going to see too many relatively thin megalodons. They're going to be like really big sharks. In Sharkzilla, we see it hunting all kinds of different things, like this giant turtle and things like that. It was likely pretty opportunistic, going after anything that it can get its jaws on. Being that big, you couldn't really say no to a meal. So seeing it hunt things like that does certainly make sense. And I think this is the same documentary. If I'm wrong, I hope I'm not wrong, because I do want to talk about this. Look at this giant kind of mechanical megalodon that they constructed for this. That is pretty cool. It looks like a lot of work was put into that, and it's pretty well detailed. Love stuff like that. Mysteries of the Lost Giants. Giant great white shark. Dino Dana. This is something that I'm talking about. Okay, so first of all, it's a little bit more thin than most of the other depictions, which might check out. I don't know. The tail does seem a bit different too, and that dorsal fin is pretty cool. The best thing about it are the colors. The colors are really cool to look at. That you have this black coloration with some grays as stripes. Very fun to see. Very different compared to the other ones. Chef's kiss, I guess. I keep mentioning this more pointed nose, but I don't know if we can really take that as a negative for most of these depictions, because again, Megalodon is known from such fragmentary remains. I just think that it would be likely that it would have different proportions compared to smaller sharks, and most of these, again, are just kind of enlarged small sharks. The Meg with Jason Statham. These ones are pretty cool. Their proportions seem quite a bit different. They're bulky. The CGI looks really great. You have a smaller one that is kind of like the red herring, I guess, and then it's revealed that there's a larger one, and they just keep getting larger from there, especially in the sequel. So in terms of an action movie, I'd say that these are pretty decent. They're pretty decent. And then in the Meg 2, pretty much the same things apply. There is one cool thing I can mention is that there is some individual variation, which is, again, really cool, and they just progressively get bigger. But one thing I want to bring up with this one is the fact that the Megalodon hunts a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yes, I know that is a scene from the novel, but this is a time to educate, I guess. Megalodon did not live during the Mesozoic, which means that it did not live alongside dinosaurs. It was a Cenozoic creature, living from the Miocene and the Pliocene and going extinct about 4 million years ago. Yes, it is extinct. Let's just say that right now. So when you see it portrayed alongside dinosaurs and eating a Tyrannosaurus Rex, that is off by quite a few million years. But again, I do know that it's a scene that's adapted from one of the books. It's also shown being like absolutely massive, being able to drag T-Rex back into the water like that. An absolute perfect size for a movie blockbuster. And if I remember correctly, Megalodon had a more powerful bite force than Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is crazy. That's very crazy. Those are, those teeth were certainly put to good work. Oh, and while you're here, I figured I might as well let you guys know that I had chosen a name for this Brachiosaurus. In an earlier video, I asked you guys to give name recommendations so that we can actually have a name to go with this face that's always just kind of like looking with its mouth open in the background. There was a lot of really good names ranging from Martha to Firecracker, but I think the one that I liked the most was this one right here by this commenter, Laura. I think that's a great name, of course named after Laura Dern, the actor who portrayed Ellie Sattler in Jurassic Park. Of course, the scene where we are first introduced to the Brachiosaurus and first see a dinosaur in full lighting is one of my all-time favorite movie scenes ever, and of course Laura Dern is present in the scene with one of the best reactions. This is also operating off of the logic that all of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are female, except for the ones that weren't anymore. Henceforth, she shall be known as Darth Laura. Just Laura, though. Also, thank you to this commenter for actually giving the idea to name this Brachiosaurus. Anyway, back to giant sharks. And now we have Jurassic World Evolution 2, where this is the most recent addition to the Megalodon canon. It looks really good. I, of course, talked about this when the DLC came out, and I like it. I think that, obviously one of the biggest One of the biggest things that is really cool about it, it just got the shark, but one of the biggest things that's cool about it is the fact that you can give it different colors and somewhat different patterns, kind of. I mean, a lot of them have these type of spots on them that are very reminiscent. How did we get like all the same colors? This one's a little bit different, but they have like some of the same spots, you know, some spots that are reminiscent to a whale shark, and they look pretty good. I already said that, but they do. They look pretty good. Their proportions are a little bit different from a great white shark's, but you can definitely see where some influence is taken from a great white shark. Ooh, this one looks kind of cool. This one looks very great white shark in appearance. I just did the random colors when releasing these guys. Now this one looks very great white shark in appearance. Certainly fits that classic style of Megalodon. But they all look really good. They are a little bit more thin and long, which might match up to the most recent study, you know, depending on where that goes. But I like these guys, you know. I love that you can give them different colors. Like, look at that. Look how different that is from the other ones we saw. Love that. In Jurassic Park Builder, it's basically a great white shark, but stubbier. If you level it up, you get some spots. Very fun, you know, very different. Again, we like the different here. In Jurassic World the game, you start off with basically a great white shark, but as per usual, if you level this son of a gun up and you get up to level 31 to 40, it gets a lot more crazy features. It seems to have like some armor, some spikes. It's just a lot more jagged in appearance. One of the most unique ones on here, so we get some points right there. Okay, and now we have Ark, and we have this awesome looking Megalodon right here. Also laggy frames. So it, you know, it pretty much fits the build of your standard. Hold on a second. So it fits the build of your standard shark. This one does too. You know, some really cool patterns and stripes on this one in particular. I think it's really cool. They both have a really nice kind of blue coloration. Let's see if I can get them closer to the shadows. Ichthyosaurs, back up. I'm dealing with sharks. Wow, they look really cool actually. I've never actually found them in this game before. I mean, I haven't played this game too much, but they look pretty cool. I like the texturing. I like their colors. They look really cool. Back up. I don't want to deal with you. Yeah, you look cool. You look cool. I thought they'd be a lot bigger than this, though. I feel like I've seen images of... I feel like I've seen images of them in this game being a lot bigger, and I felt like I saw some with some spikes. I'll place an image up here. If I'm wrong, and like that doesn't actually exist, then be sure to let me know. Like, are there different variations in Ark? Again, I'm not too knowledgeable about Ark, so there's a lot of gaps in my already existing knowledge. But I like the way that these guys look. I think they look pretty cool. They're a little bit thicker. Those colors are cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't know the basilosaurs were in this game. You are a basilosaur, right? Yeah, basilosaurus. Wow! It's an early whale, guys! That's actually really cool. I didn't know that. Huh. What are you doing? In a very nostalgic game for me, we have Sea of Thieves. I don't know if this is officially the Megalodon. Everywhere I see, everybody calls it the Megalodon, and me and my friends, we always called it Megalodon. Very, very gnarly design, very stylized, essentially, because it has like 2 sets of teeth, really thick and crunching teeth, and these guys are really difficult to defeat. I don't think my crew and I ever managed to defeat it. But I think that right there is a good one to wrap it up with. Again, there's not too many here, but that leaves one of the biggest questions that you hear in reference to Megalodon. Is it still alive? As I said before, it is not still alive. This animal is extinct. It's been extinct for about 4 million years now. If it was still alive, we would know by now. And, you know, there's always a lot of arguments being brought up, like we only know 5% of the ocean, we only know this, we only know that, there's so much out there that we haven't even seen, all that good stuff. We would know if there was a Megalodon still out there. We would know if there was a 45, 50-foot long shark that was still swimming our oceans, because it would leave plenty of signs. I mean, the whole reason why we find so many of these, so many fossilized shark teeth, is because they lost their teeth a lot. Sharks do that. They lose their teeth a lot and they get replaced quite quickly. And we only find fossilized teeth, as in teeth that look a little bit more like this, not not fresh teeth. We never find fresh teeth. If we found fresh teeth, then yes, Megalodon would probably still be out there. Not to mention, a very big shark like that needs a lot to sustain itself. It would still need to hunt whales, and we would definitely find evidence of more whale attacks like that. And I'm not talking about those photoshopped whales that you've seen quite a bit, especially on, I think it was a Discovery documentary where they were trying to convince you that Megalodon was still real. That documentary did way more harm than good, I'll tell you that right now. Also, Megalodon was the type of fish that swam closer to the surface. They were in relatively shallow waters. I mean, a lot of their waters probably did get pretty deep, but for the most part, they were closer to shallower waters. This is something that we would have found evidence for by now. Megalodon is most certainly not still alive. Because again, I know that that's a question that pops up quite a bit when the discussion of Megalodon is brought up. So, that is pretty much all I have for this one. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, comment, and possibly subscribing. Something like that really does help out a lot. We've got a lot more of these type of videos to come, along with a ton of other paleo content. Like if you like dinosaur content in general, or just prehistoric content, then this is a great channel for you. We got a lot of that stuff coming out in the near future. But all things said, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.